toddler be buried in a playground. No one knows who the little guy is. Now, a neighborhood mom in Albuquerque, New Mexico, found his little sneaker sticking out of the sand on Friday, and no one has come forward. Police say they may release a sketch of the boy any time now, and we're learning someone found a car seat, a jacket discarded near that park. We want to know, could this be linked to the case? Joining us now to talk about it, reporter Kim Velez from Prime News affiliate KRQE, and we also hope to talk to criminal profiler Pat Brown as well. But Kim, let's start with you. Give any updates on this? Do we know who the little guy is, and who did this?
At this point, they really don't have a lot to go on. The ID is the big thing, and they just really don't have a whole lot of clues in that aspect. Problem is, no one's come forward, so there's no way to compare DNA. There's no way to compare any kind of dental or other medical records. So that's the main thing that OMI is working on at this point. Until they're able to ID this little boy, they really can't even begin to look into who may have done this to him.
I mentioned that a car seat was found, I believe a jacket. Do we know yet if there's any link to this case?
We don't. What they are doing, they are testing that for DNA, basically to compare it to the little boy and see if they can find any other evidence on it. There's just so much evidence they're trying to sort through right now. But again, right now, the ID is the clear thing. The jacket and the car seat was found at a separate park, so they're just really not sure at this point.
Okay. Obviously, when we talk about being able to identify who this little guy is, are they working on a sketch? When might that come out? And how difficult has that been?
Well, they haven't told us when it will come out. They do tell us that they are working with the Office of the Missing and Exploited Children to get that sketch, but our understanding is that the person that can help do that is actually out of state, so they've got to bring that person in. That is going to take a little bit of time, but they are working tirelessly to try to get that done and other things so that they can try to move forward in this case. But at this point, there's really more questions than answers.
Okay. So, I mean, police are obviously, when we all want to know information, did somebody see something? How are they going about that? I mean, are they scouring the neighborhoods, just asking questions to find out who knew what? Did anybody see anything?
As far as we know at this point, no, they have. They have gone and knocked on every single door in that area at both parks. Anybody, really, it's a call out to the community for anyone to come forward with information. There have been more than 50 tips that have poured in at this point, but at this point, none of them have panned out. Last night they went to a home. Someone had a report that they thought it could be this boy in a different county. They went to that county. They found that boy okay. So it turned out to be a false lead. But that's really what they're asking from the community is for people to come forward with any information because that's what they think could break this case.
You know, this is so heartbreaking, especially when we show the pictures of a sneaker and a toddler's T-shirt like that with a truck on it. How is the community rallied here? How's the community taken this? And this is a heinous crime.
It really is. It's really remarkable. I mean, the area, the park where this happened, there's just a huge memorial out there. You go out there any time of the day, and there are people there leaving flowers. People have come forward from 100 miles away, driven here into town, donated money. They've raised thousands of dollars to try to create a reward to catch the person who left this little boy, also to help give him a proper burial, and that money just keeps pouring in at this point. There were vigils. There was a vigil last night. There's been a vigil every night since this happened on Friday.
Wow. Kim, are they any closer? I know testing's ongoing to find out how old he was. I know that I think yesterday we were talking it was between 3 and 5. Are we pinpointing that down anymore?
They really have. They're now telling us 4. I actually talked with the odontologist with the Office of the Medical Investigator today. He took a very good look at the child's teeth and says he is confident that he is 4 years old, perhaps slightly more, slightly less, but they have narrowed it to that at this point.
Okay. I want to bring in criminal profiler Pat Brown on this as we try and figure out who could have done such a thing. Pat, from what you've seen here, we're talking about a little guy found at a playground, not exactly trying to hide a body here. What do you make of that? I mean, you seeing a family member? What are you seeing?
I would have to say he has to be a family member. After all, we have nobody who said any child has gone missing, and we would certainly hear from a father or a mother that this had happened. If a father, for example, took the child for the weekend and the child went missing, he may not say something, but certainly mom is going to have an issue with it. I would gather that we're talking about probably a mother and a father who know what happened to this child. Whether the father accidentally killed the child and the mother went along with it, or she did and he went along with it. There was an abusive situation, I don't know. Or we could have human trafficking in that the child was coming north with the family and something went wrong and they simply don't feel they can speak up. So that's another possibility that they'd have to look at.
You know, just stop and think. I couldn't imagine being that family who found, the mom who found the little guy's body. But that's a separate aside. Talking about a body being found in a playground, do you think that they wanted it to be caught or the body to be found?
I don't think anybody ever wants to be caught. I mean, I think that's one of our beliefs, because we all think we couldn't live doing such a thing, so we'd have remorse and we just have to end it all. Most people don't. It probably was simply a matter of convenience. It was someplace they were near, and it was someplace that was available, and maybe it was dark and it was night, nobody was around, and it was an open area, and they said, well, here's a place, and that's where the child ended up.
Besides the people who did this, person or persons, do you think someone else knows something? And if so, how do you get them to come forward?
Right. Well, it depends if we're talking about, for example, if we have a set of parents who are perhaps homeless, or they're moving around a lot, very transient people, and then everybody thinks they're someplace else. I've seen cases where someone has moved, and the family will say, well, I know that child. Well, we take the Kaylee Anthony case, you know, oh, she's just down in Florida with her mom. Well, no, she isn't. So if someone's very transient, you may not even worry about it. It may be 2 or 3 years before you realize that that child is not actually with the parent that you thought the child was with. So I think they're going to have to be looking for somebody who's on the move in some way, shape, or fashion.
Yeah, okay. We'll continue to follow it, and hopefully we can get some answers. This guy get the respectful burial that he deserves. Kim Velez, Pat Brown, we appreciate it. Coming up, we're going to lighten the mood a little bit.